Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Asiya. I am your host, Asiya Nasir Shahid, and I am here with a very special guest to talk about a very special story that we have for you today. As you know, each week for the month of March, we have been showcasing some remarkable women that have been doing some extraordinary things in our community. Conversations with Asiya, our whole theme and our mission is to empower and educate the women of our communities and the girls that they are raising. And this episode is not going to disappoint. So without further ado, I would like to introduce a very, very special person to me. We share history with one another. And when you hear her story, I'm sure that she will be very special to you. I would like to welcome now Mrs. Monique Rivarde. Hi, Monique.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. How's your day going today? How's everything going?
It's going well. I'm blessed. So I woke up, I have a roof, I have food, I have loved ones. I'm blessed.
That's right. That's right. As I mentioned before, this whole month for Women's History Month, we have been honoring women who have just been doing some very extraordinary things. And, people who may not know, who are just watching, it's like, who's Monique? Why is she so special to Asiya? For those who don't know, and some who are going to be watching that know exactly who you are, Monique is a high school friend. We actually went to high school together. We graduated in 1990. So you're talking about over 30 years of knowing
Yes,
each other.
Asia, I know it's been, but you look the
Yes.
same as when we
So
were in school. You still look just as beautiful. So,
thank you. I feel the same
yes,
way about you, Monique, and it's so good to hear your voice. And so, having
yeah,
this
you as
show and
well.
yes, and being able to showcase you is such a remarkable story. And your story starts with your beautiful son, Bobby. And so, for
Yes.
those like myself who never got to meet Bobby, I would love for you to just give us a glimpse of who Bobby was. What was he like? What was it like being around him? And what was his goals? What did he want to accomplish in life?
Bobby, he was like a ball of joy. You know, a friend of mine that lost her son as well said that God gave them joy in a concentrated measure because he knew that they would go home to glory early. Because Bobby, I literally maybe saw him upset once in his
Wow.
whole entire life. I mean, he came out the womb laughing. I'm telling you, he was a bright light. He always looked at the glass as half full instead of half empty. Bobby gave everyone the benefit of the doubt. Everyone was good to him. You had to like literally prove that it was something like negative about you, or because if you couldn't prove that, you were a good guy to Bobby.
Right.
He laughed all the time. He was a jokester, so yeah, he joked a lot. He
Mm-hmm.
danced around the house a lot. I remember he used to come behind me and grab me. And this is like when he was maybe 15, 16, when he was, as he got stronger. He couldn't hold me when he was younger, but as he got
Right.
older, he became stronger and stronger. So he would grab me from behind and I would say, Bobby, let me go. And he would say, no, mom, no, mom, I'm not letting you go, mom. And I would tell him, when you let me go, I'm gonna whoop you because I said don't grab me like that. But I mean, he was just always so happy, so full
Loving.
of joy. Yes. And what I loved about Bobby was that he had such a like an awareness of God and such a
Mm,
strong relationship with him at such a young age.
wow.
It's right, like his understanding of God and God's purpose for his life, and just and God and obeying God, and
Mm,
having courage to do what was right. Like Bobby sacrificed. He was 18, but even because he started driving like 16, but he wouldn't go here. Mom, I'm not going there. I don't know who's going to be there, how it's going to be. I mean, he had
right.
discernment
Mm-hmm.
and maturity of a
Right.
grown man, but he was a child of God. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And he had the discernment of one. I
Mm-hmm.
remember one time I asked him, I said, Bobby, do you pray every day? He was like, yeah, like, duh. I
Like
mean,
what you think?
right, exactly. Like, don't you? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he was just, he really was a light. And I've never been married. So, it was Bobby and my daughter Fashy and myself. And I always say we were a triangle of love, but he was
Mm-hmm.
very protective of myself and of his sister. And it was like he welcomed that responsibility because I know when he first passed, and I was like, was it too much for him? Like, was I putting too much on him? Because, like I said, I was never married. You know what I mean? It was just us three. So I was like, maybe it was all kind of things going through my mind. But,
I can
you
imagine.
know, yeah, Bobby, he was just like when he turned 18 August 1st, and we took him to Red Lobster. He loved Red Lobster. He loved the crab Alfredo. So we took him to Red Lobster, and then he loved cheesecake. So we got him a cheesecake. And he was like, Mom, I'll be back. I'm going to go get my best friend. So we were setting up the cake and the napkins, all the candles and stuff, waiting for him, putting the gifts by the
Right.
cake. So he walks in with his best friend, but he has 12 long stem red roses for me. And he was like,
On
Mom, this
his
is just
birthday.
on his birthday. And he was like, Mom, this is just for being my mother. I mean, that's the type of
Mm,
guy Bobby was. He was very thoughtful, very selfless, loving, strong. You know what I mean? Like if he said, I'm not doing this, he stuck with it. And he was
right.
a leader.
So he was
Like
a
he
man
didn't
of his word.
absolutely. And he was a leader. He didn't have to follow the crowd.
Mm,
If everyone else did it, but he felt it was wrong, he didn't mind walking away by himself. You know what I mean? Because he felt it was the right thing to do.
mhm.
And
Wow.
I really admired that about, you know what I mean? I admired that about Bobby. Even when he was alive, I would just watch his actions. Like
Mhm.
he's amazing. I thought he was amazing, and I learned so much from him as far as control, self control,
Mhm.
not judging people. He like, Mom, why? Don't say that because you're not
Right.
sure. And he would teach
Wow.
me. I mean, he was amazing. He was a child of God in its rarest form.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially for someone his age. Especially
Yes,
for someone his age. So, Bobby graduated high school, right? So
yes,
he
yeah. May
accomplished
29th.
that, May 29th, he graduated, high school. And at this time, although you and I went to high school in Los Angeles, at this
Yes.
time you were living in Georgia, and you still live in Georgia,
Yes,
right?
I'm still in Georgia. We moved here in 2008.
Mhm.
So my daughter was 13. Bobby was about to turn 16. And he graduated May 29th, 2010 from high school. And then he attended Georgia Perimeter,
Mhm.
which is affiliate. It's like a subsidiary of Georgia State University. So
Wow.
that's where he was attending when he graduated from high school.
Wow. And what was Bobby's aspirations like? What did, this amazing person, what did he want to do in life? Like what was his goals that he wanted to achieve?
Well, Bobby, he loved the NFL. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
sorry, the NBA,
Hmm.
the NBA basketball. I don't know why I
Ball.
said the NFL, but he loved basketball. Like since he was little, he was like a junior Laker in LA. In Inglewood at the YMCA, they had the Junior Lakers League, summer league, for kids. And
Right.
I just remember because Bobby was small, like he wasn't a big guy. He
Yeah.
maybe was like 5'7" when he passed, about 128 pounds. So he was
Oh,
small. Yeah,
yeah.
like when he was 5 years old, 6, or even 8, he was a small guy, but he was fast and he was determined. And Bobby
Mhm.
felt he could do anything. You know what I mean?
So
If
he
he
was
just,
fearless too.
oh, absolutely. If nothing could stop Bobby, he knew nothing could stop him but himself.
Right.
If that's how he looked at it. So I remember when like they were putting teams together, so the coaches would come and pick the players that they wanted, and at first Bobby was one of the last ones picked, but
Hmm.
Bobby was like, you know what, Mom, I'm gonna show them why they should have picked me first. And that boy
All
was all
right.
over the place. And that's what he told me. And he was literally diving for balls, doing this. I mean, where the coaches were like, that's your son, then they wanted him. But he was
Right.
like, Mom, I'm gonna show him why they should have picked me first. He
That's
was
right.
always upbeat and positive and confident. And
Hmm.
so he played high school basketball at Westchester High. And then when we moved here, because he came in the middle of the school year, as far as the team, and he was in the 11th grade. I'm sorry, he didn't come in the middle of the school year, but he was trying out, like they already had the team in
Team
place because he
together.
was an
Right.
11th grader. Yeah, so by then they have like, the players in 11th that's going on to 12th that maybe are trying to get a
Hmm.
scholarship, and he was new,
Right.
coming in. So it was hard for him to get on the team. So he
Hmm.
was like, well, Mom, you know what? Since I can't get on the high school team, I want to be a sports agent so I could be on the sidelines helping the NBA players. So he wanted,
Wow.
yeah, he said, I'm going to be involved some type of way. So if it's not on the court, it's going to be right on the side of the court. And he
Right.
wanted to be a sports agent.
Wow,
Hmm.
amazing, amazing. I'm just
Yeah.
sitting here listening to you talk about your son, and it makes me like, oh, I wish I would have had a chance to meet him and just
Yeah.
experience him. And I think that's what we do with people in our lives. We experience them, you know,
Yes.
when you
Absolutely.
interact with them, and they, that's why they fill us up so much because we experience their presence. And
Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Even
and you talking about it.
friendships. Hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So me listening to you, and I work with youth. I work with
Yes.
young girls in my organization, and so I'm always involved with the youth. So listening to you talk about him and how strong he was. So even
Hmm.
though physically he was small in
Right.
stature, he was big in character. He was
Absolutely. He had the
tall.
spirit. Yes. I always say he has the spirit. Bobby had the spirit of a giant. It was
Wow.
out of this world. And that's
Mm,
how he acted as if he was the size of a giant. Nothing would stop him. Nothing.
right.
He said, Mom, the only person can stop me is me.
That's right. That's
That's what
right.
he was. Yes.
And I've seen the pictures, of your son, on your Facebook page, his high school
Hmm.
picture, his
Yeah.
graduation picture. He's so handsome, beautiful
Thank
eyes,
you.
very
Thank you.
strong, look. And so,
Hmm.
for those listening, there, I know they hear us talking in past tense as we speak of Bobby. And
Hmm.
he graduated from high school, and this is usually the greatest time of a family. Like, okay, this is a new chapter, this is what
Hmm.
your child is about to embark on. And I'm sure you and his sister Fashi and your family members were all feeling the same way. And
Hmm.
during that time, we go to graduation parties, we go to
Yeah.
graduation dinners, and it was obviously no different for Bobby. So for those of you who are just tuning in and hearing about Bobby, and why we're talking about him in past tense, Monique, I would love for you to share that fateful night, of what happened with Bobby.
Okay. Bobby, he was invited to a get together. He graduated from Chapel Hill High School, and he still had friends that attended the high school. So a cheerleader had a get together at her home. Her parents allowed her to have it because she was doing well in school. So Bobby told me this was November 6th of
Hmm.
2010. I had just had surgery September 29th, major surgery. So Bobby was helping me,
Hmm.
getting prescriptions, helping me with food, everything. So he told me about the get together. And I was like, well, yeah, you can go. Because to me, he had been in the house helping me. He deserved to get out and have
Right.
fun, have some fun with his friends. He was here helping me with everything. Um, so he went to the get together. Someone put it on social media. So over 60 kids showed up. It was supposed to had been 20 kids were invited, but over 60 showed up because someone, put it on social
Posted on
media.
social media.
Yes. And so two girls start arguing in the home over a boy. So the parents told everyone to go home, right? Everyone has to leave.
Right.
So the home is in a cul-de-sac. So there was only one way in, one way
Like
out.
out.
The kids were all in the street, so no one could really leave because it was 60 kids in the street. They were blocking the entrance or the exit. And so Bobby was leaning on the car that he came in, or that he had driven to the get together in. And a boy saw Bobby. Bobby's back was to them.
Hmm.
He went up and he hit Bobby off the car. Bobby didn't even know what hit him, didn't know who hit him, nothing. it was like a surprise attack. He knocked him off the car, and then three of his friends came and joined him, and they stomped Bobby till his heart burst. Bobby was 18. He had just turned, like I said, 18 August 1st. He was in college. He was randomly chosen. They never met Bobby before.
So Bobby
Bobby
didn't
didn't,
know them.
oh no, Bobby didn't say any, there was no provocation. So Bobby didn't say anything to those boys. Nothing. And they even said that, like, because the detectives interviewed the four boys, that jumped Bobby, and they didn't know they were suspects. They thought that
Right.
they were just witnesses. So
Hmm.
they asked, well, did you see Tillman in the party or in the home? And they were like, yeah, well, what was he doing? Two said he was dancing. One said he was standing up against the wall with his friends. And one said he was just standing there. And so they
Hmm.
said, well, did you see him arguing with anyone? They were
With
like, no,
anyone.
he wasn't. Yeah. And they were like, no, he wasn't even watching the argument. Okay, well, did you see Tillman outside? Yes, we did. And so they said, well, what was he doing outside? Two said, I think he was texting. He was on his phone. One said he was on his phone, and one said he was minding his business. So these are the boys that
Mm.
actually attacked Bobby that said this about him, because they had no idea, that they were suspects, that they were pointed out as the attackers. So
So they were
Bobby,
being transparent and honest about their interaction that night with Bobby. The fact that
yeah,
they didn't know him, the fact that
mm-hmm,
Bobby wasn't involved with any altercation. He was just
right,
doing what any kid would do at a party, which is
yes,
dancing, hanging out with friends,
right,
leaning up against a car. One even went to the point of saying he was minding his own business. So they didn't
yes.
they didn't know Bobby at all.
No, one of them even called him Brandon Tillman. None of them knew him. They didn't even know his name.
So
No.
they just randomly picked Bobby,
Yes. They just
and
like, yes.
so one of them hit him first, and his
Yes.
other three friends came and came on the scene and continued to
Yes. One, yep,
basically
he hit
do.
him in the back of the head. So he kind of hit him in the back of the head, and Bobby fell off the car. He was leaning on the car, and his
Hmm.
back was to them. So
Right,
the witnesses in court said they kind of like crept across the street, and snuck up behind Bobby and hit him. So Bobby never even knew what hit him.
right.
He never even saw it, nothing.
So
And
during this time that this altercation is happening, obviously Bobby's defenseless. These are four boys that are, as you mentioned, and the case mentioned, they basically stomped Bobby to death.
yes, his heart burst from them stomping him on his chest. His heart imploded. Yes.
Monique, I know this has to be, it's hard for me to hear. I have two sons. And
Yeah.
one of my sons, my youngest one, it has the stature of Bobby, very
Yeah.
small in stature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I can imagine that this had to be difficult. So
My
in this
goodness.
scenario of what's happening, obviously there are 60 kids standing outside. Did
Yes.
anybody try to stop what was happening, or call the police, or to do anything to stop what was happening to Bobby?
One person did. One of their friends started pulling them off, saying, "What are you doing?
Hmm.
He's so small. Why? What are you guys doing? He's so small." And they pulled him off. But then one went back, and now Bobby is motionless. He's laying on the ground on his back. And they said he went back to Bobby and he began stomping him on his chest so hard Bobby's feet were lifting off the ground. And I couldn't, I when I tell you, I remember when they came to the house, because Fashy, Bobby's friend Cortland, called my daughter and
Hmm.
said Bobby was jumped and he's in critical condition, because this was the weekend that the time changed. So
Okay.
Bobby had an extra hour. His curfew was 2 a.m.
Hmm.
on the weekends. And they had the extra hour. So I was like, well, why isn't he home yet? And remember, I was home still from surgery. So I wasn't going to bed early. I was up. So I said, okay, I'll just wait for him to get home.
Right.
2
Which is
o'clock
the same
came.
thing I used to do with my kids. I couldn't go to
Right.
sleep until they got home. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just sitting in the family room waiting to hear the door open. And time I would have heard the door. I just, hey, Bobby, I love you. Good night. I would have went to bed. I mean, that's
Right.
was the norm, you know.
Right.
Um, so 2 o'clock, 2 a.m. came, and Bobby was very punctual. And if he was going to be late, he always called me, you know, mom, you know, but then also he wouldn't text and drive, you know. So I'm
Right.
like, okay, well, maybe he's taking Emmanuel home, you know,
Hmm.
or something. And then he's coming home. So I text him and I called. Um, and in the midst of me, I was just about to get worried. Like, okay, something is not right, because
Right.
he
This
would
is
have
not the
at
norm.
least, yes. Fashy came in my room and she was like, Mom, Cortland wants to speak with you. So Cortland told me, Miss Monique, Bobby was jumped and he's in critical condition. And I told Cortland, I said, are you where he is? He said, no. I said, do you know where he is? He said, no. I said, well, you call everybody you know and you get that address and you give it to me.
Right.
I told my mom to go to the hospital because, see, I didn't know if Bobby was still laying in the street. I didn't know if someone called the ambulance because his friend called me. You know
Right.
what I
And said
mean?
he
And
didn't know where he was or anything.
yeah, exactly. You know, I just knew it was in Douglasville where we live, but he didn't give me like the exact address. You know what I mean? And we were
Right.
relatively new. We had just been here for 2 years.
Right.
Um, so I told Fashy, go get your shoes. We're going to find this place wherever Bobby is, because like I said, I didn't know if my son was still laying in the ground, in the street, on the ground. You know what I mean? If someone was helping him, I had no idea. I asked
Right.
my mom to go to the local hospital to see if he had been brought to, in through emergency. Um, and I called 911. So when I told them, did you get a call? Someone just called me. My son's name is Bobby Tillman. And they said that he was jumped. He's in critical condition. Have you received any 911 calls to pick up a kid,
Right.
that was beat up or that was injured and is seriously injured? So the woman put me on hold. And when Fashy came down, I left. I hung up and I called 911 from my cell phone. So I'm driving around and she says, I need you to go back home. And I was like, well, why? Because the investigators want to speak with you. And I was like, well, unless you know something about my child that I don't, I'm not going home. I need to find my child,
Right.
And she was like, no, we need you to go back home. And I said, well, are you going to other children's homes too? And she said, yes. Okay, so we turned around. I came back. We were waiting.
Take your
And
time, Monique. You have to.
okay, okay. Because like we were standing in the driveway and it's like 2 in the morning. And it's a subdivision. So I saw a sheriff's car and another car enter the subdivision and they turned the wrong way. But something in my spirit said I knew something was wrong. And I knew Bobby either, I didn't know that he was already dead, but I knew I felt he
Something
was
was wrong.
dying. Yes, but I was like, God, maybe it's just maybe he's okay. And I'm just jumping the gun and assuming things. So they turned the wrong way. They made a right and they were supposed to make a left. And I'm watching them, right? And I'm like, okay, yes, maybe it's all my imagination. But they turned around and came and pulled up in the driveway. So they were like, man, we need you to go in the house. And there was a woman and a man.
Hmm.
And so they're standing in the family room and he said, we have some news for you. Please sit down. And I was like, no. I said, is my son alive? He said, no, ma'am, he's not. And I said, what happened? And I'm thinking that, maybe he was like hit by a bullet. I'm not thinking, okay, he got jumped, but he's okay. Like that didn't kill him. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, something else. Not, he wasn't beat to death, And then when he told me, he said force blunt trauma or blunt force trauma. And I was like, well, what is that? And he said he was beat to death. And I said, what? I couldn't believe it. And I just like start screaming, like, what? Like, why? you know, and
Oh,
they were like,
why? Yeah.
right, like why would they do this to Bobby? You know, and he was like, ma'am, we interviewed over 50 children and they all said your son did nothing to deserve the attack. We have 3 of them and we're going to get the 4th. And he left. His name was Detective Skinner. And then the woman that was here was a chaplain. So
Hmm.
she stayed with us. And then my mom was already here. Then my sisters came and we were all here and with Fashy, and I remember Fashionay was screaming and she was saying, Mom, he's so little. He's so little. And honestly, Asiya, after that, I
You
don't
don't
remember
remember
that.
much.
No, I just remember people coming to the home. I remember we didn't go to sleep. My daughter and I were just in my bed, up, like holding each other. And then people start coming over the next day trying to tell me what happened. And I told them, I don't want to hear it.
Right.
Because what I hear what happened to Bobby, I want it to be the truth, because I know that they didn't understand me hearing all these versions, what it was doing to me. It was killing me. Literally. It was killing me. Like I was ready to kill myself hearing that. Like I couldn't
Right.
even think about, like, you don't even want your child to have a splinter and they beat
Right.
them to, you know what I mean? I didn't know. It was horrible.
It was too much to hear that over and over again.
Yes.
And I know as your friend, growing, we went to school together, and all of my our mutual friends, Faraha, Rachel, all of us. I mean, it impacted us, and we weren't even his mothers.
Yeah.
We were just the friend of his mother, and all of us at this point we had children too, because we all had
Yes.
children around the same time. So
Yes.
all of our children were around the same age, and and I know it hit us so hard. You
Mhm.
see stuff on TV all the time. You just never think you're going to know someone that's
Yeah.
going through this, and then to hear, as you mentioned, in the manner in which he lost his life, Bobby
Right.
lost his life, we just couldn't even fathom what you were going through. And
Yeah.
we were just really in prayer. And I remember my daughter was in middle school, my
Hmm.
daughter Jasmine, who just, her birthday was yesterday. And you said
Yes.
to
And
tell
I
her
remember the
happy
video
birthday.
she did. Yes.
Yes, yes, she was so impacted by Bobby's story. My daughter's a screenwriter now, and she, that's what she does.
Really?
Yes, she does. She makes movies, and that,
Wow.
what happened to Bobby, so she never met Bobby before. She never even met you before, Monique. And
Hmm.
just seeing you on the news and hearing what happened and knowing that her mother knew you,
Yes.
it just, and hearing what happened to Bobby, she was so touched by it that she created that video, just something she wanted to show you in some way, that she was praying for you, and that, you had support,
I
over
just wanted,
Bobby.
well, I want to tell you really quick about your daughter's video. I was a long-term sub at factory shows, and when I tell you God put me in that position, it was a career class, right?
Hmm.
Where I taught different careers and how to write a resume, how to do all these different
Right,
things.
right.
But I was telling them that they had to make the right life choices first, because they wouldn't. You have to make the right life choices before you can reach the career choice.
Hmm.
But what I did was told them the story about Bobby, and I
Right.
showed your daughter's video to
Right.
every one of my students. So I had 127 students. Each one of them saw your daughter's video. I showed them the
Wow.
video first, and then
Told them your story
yes.
about Bobby. Wow.
When I tell you that video touched me so much, and
It,
I
it,
told them that a child his age created this video,
right.
or their age at that time, because they were in high
Right.
school. So I
Right.
said
And
their
he was
age.
in middle
Yeah.
school, right? And I mean, it just goes to show just how impactful Bobby's life was, even to us who've never met him, and we're still touched by it 11 years later, still talking
Yes.
about Bobby, still sharing his legacy, still sharing the beautiful soul that he was here on earth. And
Thank you.
I just, I as a fellow mom, I don't know what that feels like, but I am a sister of someone who we lost growing up to a hit and run driver, a drunk
Right.
driver. And I know what I went through as a sister and looking at what happened to my parents in the process. And you just mentioned something so profound. You said it got to the point where you almost even wanted to just take your own life because just dealing with hearing what happened to him was just too much to bear.
Yes.
I want to ask you, how did your daughter, Fashi, we call her Fashi, right? Her name's
Yes.
Fashion name, but we all call her
Yes.
Fashi. How was that? Because I know what I went through and feeling kind of lost. Like everyone was
Yes.
so into my mom, which, obviously, as they
Right.
should. But I just kind of got lost in that because,
Yes.
and at that time, you don't really even know what to say or, how to feel. You're just trying to process your own feelings. How
Right.
did how did your daughter deal with that, and how is she today?
Well, Fashy, okay, because she was 15, she was in the 10th grade when it happened, and she became numb to it. So it was like she behaved, and this is her telling me now, because at the time I didn't know what it was. She was just angry all the time, very resentful. I knew she was, but I didn't know why.
Right,
And at the time, I shut down from even being a mother. You know what I mean? So it was like she was on her own at 15. So she became very angry, very I don't want to say nasty towards me, but um yeah, but she
it
had
was
every
distant. She
right.
was distant. She
Yes,
was
and
very
and
distant.
mean and mean,
Hmm.
but it was anger and pain, and it was hurt because she didn't know how to handle something. It's a picture that I see all the time that I didn't even realize what the picture meant until maybe a couple of years ago, and that's just God during the process reveals to you
Right,
different things that He knows that you can handle. Because before, if He would have showed me what I realized, it would have hurt me, you know what I mean, to where it would have set me back. But it's
right.
a picture with we're in court and my sister is hugging me and I'm crying facing her, but Fasci is sitting next to me and no one is hugging her. No one is
Mm,
uh, embracing her. She's like there by herself. And it's hard for me to even look at that photo because I'm like, who was there for her? You know what I mean? Because I couldn't be, but she felt that, you know what I mean? And for years. And so finally, after time passed, and I started to get stronger. So I was able to help her. But
right.
by then she was like, oh, I don't need your help now. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because she was 18. She was in college. Was 17, just graduated from high school. She was just started in Alabama. It was just 2 hours away, but
yeah,
I think she wanted to be close enough where we could come and get her whenever she wanted to come home, but
but she
far enough to
wanted
where,
to get away.
yeah, because she was Bobby's sister
Right.
here. She wasn't Fashy. She was Bobby
Mm,
Tillman's sister. And I
yep.
think she just needed her own identity. She needed to
Yeah.
escape everything.
Yeah.
Like we started BFAM, my organization, and the
Yes, I
Bobby's
want to talk
friends.
about that. I want to talk about
Yeah,
that. But
but
continue with
Fashy,
fashion. Hmm.
right, because see, she was a part of it because she was so young. But when she had a choice, she didn't want to be because she felt forced to do something that had something to do with Bobby, where she wasn't ready to process his death. It was like she put it on a back burner, like she buried
Mm,
it, but
right.
she still had the remnants of losing someone, but she just didn't face it. So she had the anger and the pain, but it wasn't channeled right because she put the whole death of her brother on the back burner. You see what I mean?
Absolutely. I know exactly. I know exactly
Yeah,
because as a sister of who lost her brother, I know exactly what she was going through. And sometimes you're feeling things, but don't necessarily know how to even articulate those feelings.
right,
So
exactly.
I
And then I
totally get
know,
it.
yeah, and then I know she was like, "Mom, I need you," but I couldn't be a mother. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like the way that I made it was BFAM. And it's sad to say that, but I needed Bobby's friends around me because I felt him through them.
right,
You know what I
right.
mean? And I
And there
needed
was
to
a part of
feel him.
you, right? And that's yeah,
Yeah. You
yeah.
know,
So
I
you
needed it.
needed to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, because literally, like, I didn't want to wake up, and it wasn't really like we call it suicide, but it really, I don't even look at it like that. It was just I didn't want to be awake. It was painful to be awake. You know
It's
what I mean?
amazing that you say that, Monique, because I think for a lot of us, you know, I know even for me, if I hear any bad news, the
Yes.
first thing I want to do is go to sleep because
Right.
that's the only way that I can shut it off.
Right.
You know,
Exactly. I
and
wanted
it's
to
like,
shut it off.
right, you wanted to shut up, and that was the only way aside from death. That's the only way
Hmm.
that you can shut something off is sleeping.
Right.
And then when you wake up, it's like, oh, I have to revisit that same feeling of loss, void,
Yes.
emptiness, all of like I get it. I so get it. So here
Yeah.
is where so how is Fashy now?
So,
What is Fashy doing now?
okay, so Fashy, she's 25, and she's really trying to find herself
Mm-hmm.
because she is finally acknowledging Bobby's
Mm,
death. So she's going through the process of, and I don't believe in the process like the psychologist where it's this and denial. No, it's God's process for each person individually, personal,
right,
for
right.
curtail to them and how they what he knows they need to handle what they're going through. So right
Absolutely.
now, right, like the other day, or well, no, like maybe a couple of weeks ago, she came up to me and was like, "Mom, Bobby is dead. My brother is gone." And
Mm,
she just started crying. She just kept tapping me, "Mom, he's gone. He's dead. He's gone." And I could just all I could do was hold her, and she slept with me that night. But I told her I'm grateful that she's acknowledging Bobby's death, because that's the first step to
that,
healing, is acknowledgement.
yeah, yeah.
Because you can't heal from something you don't know. You can't heal from
And you
something
can't
you're
heal from
not
something.
acknowledging.
Exactly. You have to first, almost
Yes.
kind of embrace the thought that this is my reality. This
Yes.
is my reality. My brother is gone. Now,
Right.
how do I process that reality?
Yes.
So
Right.
it's beautiful that, whether it's 10 years, 11 years, she's beginning that process for
Yes.
her. And now it's her morning. And it happens, all, I'm so thankful that now you're able to be more present as she processes this,
Right.
because now you have done your healing and you're stronger now. So now
Yes.
you be that foundation for her as she goes through the different processes of, whatever that will look like for fashion,
Yeah.
you know?
And I mean, when I tell you I'm just proud of her, I'm
Yeah.
proud. And I tell her she is my inspiration, because
Yeah.
she stayed in the bed with me 2 weeks after Bobby passed. And she said, "Mom, I got to get back to school. I have to go to school."
Mm-hmm.
And she would get up and go to work. She went to college. She filled out all those applications on her own. I was like a
Mm,
shell. I was a
right.
shell, just driving her here or giving her money for this or that. She did it all on her own, you
Wow.
know. Right. And so I told her she's my inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
I, you know, I'm just proud of her.
Yes,
I
as
I
you should
really
be, as
am.
we all are so proud of Fashi. I've seen her. Not only is she beautiful on the outside, but she is
Oh, thank you.
absolutely beautiful. And just you're talking about her, you can obviously see that there's an inner beauty that just exudes, externally from her. So we're all
Yes.
proud of Fashi. So if she's watching, if she's listening, or will watch later, know that we are all, very proud of her. And she has a village that is definitely here supporting her journey,
Thank
as she
you.
continues, to do that. And let her know if she ever wants to speak to me, I'm here. I know, I've been through losing a sibling
Right.
myself. So she definitely has a village.
And
And so
I will tell her too. Definitely. I will tell her when she
definitely
gets home. Yes.
good, good. We've been watching the news. I mean, 2020 was some year, and we've
Yes.
seen so many mothers due to police brutality, gun violence.
Hmm.
Just in this past month, as I mentioned before the show, I actually have a sister friend who I know who has lost her second child now to
Oh,
gun
yes.
violence. And I mean, it's an unbearable thought of what you had to go through, what other mothers have gone through, and it seemed like there's just an increase and not a lot of healing or talks of
Mm-hmm.
healing.
No.
And you took a tragic incident that happened to the beautiful life of Bobby, and you kind of talked about it a little bit, and it's called BFAM. You
Yes.
turn tragedy into triumph. You turn the tragedy into something positive, not only for yourself and your healing, but also for the community. Tell the viewers, what is BFAM, and how did you turn that fateful night into what it is today and what you're doing today?
Okay. Well, BFAM stands for Bobby Tillman's family. And we actually established it right after his death because his friends were coming over. A lot of them were at the party or heard about it. Douglasville is very small.
Small.
And so they were scared to go out the house because it was
Mm,
random. So they're like, it could be me next because Bobby was randomly chosen.
right.
And my thing was, God didn't intend our youth to be in a house afraid. They're supposed to be social because that's the only way to spread power and strength is to be out in the community. You can't do it sitting in the house being afraid. So I
Absolutely.
said, right. And then even the boys that murdered Bobby, I said, okay, why did they do that? Why didn't they care about Bobby's life? But wait a minute, did they care about their own? So how could I expect Bobby or them to respect Bobby's life? They didn't even love themselves. And I
Right.
know they did because they would have said, you know what? What's going to happen to me if I touch this boy? I can go to jail. I could be hurt. And I want my life. I want to be successful and I deserve it. So I'm not going to touch him so we all can go home. Because that's the one way I know nothing will happen to him wrong is if I just don't touch him at all. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So that's why we created the Bobby Tillman pack. His friends wrote, it's, I don't know how many bullets, maybe 12. But what we did was passed around an index card to each of his friends, and they wrote how they can hold themselves accountable. What can they do to
Mm,
make the environment better? Because it starts with you. I can't tell,
exactly.
you know what I mean? What can I do? Not what can he or she or her or him, me. I can only control me. You know what I mean? So that's what I was saying. We got to first
That
instill self.
accountability.
Yes, but that only way you have accountability is through self love.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
so, right. So that's how we started it. And
Hmm.
then, but my journey, with BFAM, because, Bobby's friends, they grew up and they
Right.
start, going to college and having families. And I didn't have the energy, honestly, to put the passion of BFAM into other children, which I thought I would have to, but by the grace of God, is children that want to volunteer and help.
Right.
But at
Right.
that time, so I was doing it by myself, going to speak. I've been to prisons to speak. I've been to a lot of different places, but I was still on a journey with God, questioning him, like, why? You
Yeah.
know, in Ephesians 61, you said, God, children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, and your life will be long on this earth. Your years will be long. And I would tell God, Bobby loved you. He deserved to live to
He was good to me. He honored
125.
me. Right.
Yeah, that's what I would say. He deserved to have a beautiful home, beautiful wife, a career. And once I was ready to listen, when I shut up, and really when
Mm,
my soul shut up, my mind, everything, then God told me, but that was your definition of a long life for Bobby, not mine. Mine was
mm.
18 years. And you don't even own yourself. You keep saying you own Bobby and my son, and why'd you do this to my son? You're not even your own. So why you keep
Come on,
saying
Monique.
Bobby is
Come on,
mine?
Monique.
So he said, I just need you to do what I'm telling you because people lose a child every second of the day. So it's a blessing that people remember your son's life and how he lived it. So either you're going to do what I tell you, or I'm going to give this blessing to somebody else.
Mm,
And that's when I really put BFAM in the forefront. And because I understood the meaning of it. See, before it was just, okay, we're going to do it and be in the community. But I wasn't right inside. You know what I mean? And I think even my daughter knew that too, because she really didn't want any part of BFAM. And
right.
I think but it wasn't just because of me. It was because it was about Bobby, which was painful for her. But I think because she knew I wasn't really right on the inside, she couldn't be honest with me and transparent, because she knew, okay, my mom is doing all this, but she's still angry herself. You know what I mean? She's still upset. She's not even being honest with herself. So how can
Mm.
I, you know what I mean?
This
And I
is so
think,
powerful.
yes, it is, because it's a oh, it's so profound, because it's real and it's painful. You know what I mean? Like, even with me and my pain, I still feel the same way when I got the news that,
Right.
Bobby, that pain is still there. But what God has done is given me a new type of courage to handle the pain than I
Mhm.
had when it first happened. You see
Right.
what I
And
mean?
a new
Yes.
understanding of why,
Yes.
his purpose and Bobby's
Right.
purpose, even in this 18 years, you can live 50 years, 60 years, 80
Yes.
years and not have the impact that Bobby had in 18.
Yes. And I'm going to tell
Wow.
you, even with fashion, I was praying, God, please bring her around. Please put peace in her spirit. And he was
Hmm.
like, you asking me to give your daughter something you don't even have. So guess what? I'm going to give it to her through you. So she's going to watch you have peace, and then she'll have it. So instead of you asking me to give it to her, she's going to learn it through you.
You,
That's what he
wow.
told me.
And that was
Because
part of your healing as well.
yes, yes.
Mm,
Yeah, because
mm.
he was like, you asking me to do all this for your daughter, you don't even have it for yourself. So she's going to learn through you. That's what he told me.
So
So
you had to do
everything,
the soul work. You had to do the
yes,
soul work. Wow.
yes. She watched
Wow.
me do it. So I had to find peace for me first, and then she would see it through me and my actions.
And she would actually see what it looks like in real time,
Yes.
not just in theory,
Mm-hmm.
but to see
Right.
what healing actually looks like in real
Yes.
time for something as
Oh,
deep as that. Oh, this is
yes.
I invited mothers, I invited anyone that if they knew someone who lost a loved one or a child, to please watch this show, because what you're saying is so encouraging for those who have lost, brutality,
Yes.
whatever it, healing is so necessary. And this is 11 years, and it took you to now being where you are and the work. So what is BFAM doing now as it relates to the community work?
Well, can you hear me? I think my earphone is messing up because of how I'm laying it on the table. Can you hear me, Asiya?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what we're doing is I started a 5K race in 2018. Um Prior to that, I've been to bullying, anti-bullying events, and things of that nature. Speaking to prisons, to detention centers. This program called YAV, Youth Against Violence, that kind of gives youth a second chance. Like, say if they had a fight in school, here you can get arrested for that, and you have to go in front of a juvenile court,
Hmm.
to see how they're going to handle it. So that's what I've been doing. I took time out because for the trials, we had to go to 2 trials. So I took time out for that because I had to kind of readjust and go back to counseling. It took me back to when it first happened. Um, but now BFAM, I want it to be nationwide. You know what I mean? So I'm still trying to hone in on the purpose of BFAM. But what I know is that we want to help the youth in any way that we can. Um, can you hear me, Asiya?
Monique, can you hear me?
Hello? Oh, there you
Yes.
go.
Yeah, there we go. It seemed like we lost connection for a minute, but we
Yeah.
got you back. So you were just saying that you are now initiating, BFAM is initiating a 5K run.
Yes, and this will be our fourth one. So we've awarded 15 scholarships.
Wow.
But I want to be nationwide where we have uh worksheets and pamphlets and workbooks, that's stems or that's a self-esteem and self-love builder. But one thing that I want to do is alleviate some of the pressure for college and for our children with their post-high school education. Now, mind you, we offer scholarships not just for four-year university students that have that as an aspiration or that are dedicated to that. We give it to 2-year college students and also vocational and technical school. Because my thing is,
Wow.
as long as you are doing something positive with your life, we're going to reward you.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Give
So
them
it's
incentive to do and
absolutely
stay positive. Right.
yes, and we give them gifts as well as the winners. We give them a cashier's check. We have to see that they're registered in whichever type of post high school education institution. We have to have proof, of course, but once
Right.
we do, we give them a check and they can do what they need to with it. We don't dictate how they spend it as long as they spend it on their education. And what they
Wow.
have to do is they have to take 4 bullet points from the Bobby Tillman pack and write a proposal on how they can positively impact their community.
Community. Wonderful. That is excellent. Oh my gosh, I am so
Yes,
excited. And I want to talk more offline about how we can do things together with the self-love and empowerment because that's what Just Cares
absolutely.
is all about. So I'm all for it. You make such a beautiful point with self-love, and it's starting from that the individual. And that's what
Yes,
that's what BFAM is doing and really, promoting that with the
yes,
kids and your organization and your foundation. If
yes, ma'am.
only
That's
those boys,
right.
if only those boys had possibly had that, maybe their
Yes,
decisions would have been different. What
yes.
what has happened to the four boys who murdered Bobby?
Well, they have life without parole. So that night we lost 5 lives, but four had a choice. And it's very important for us to speak with our youth about choices because I know they didn't mean to kill Bobby, but
Hmm.
but they did. And so
Right,
that's the punishment that they received is for murder. So we have to encourage our youth to make the best decisions, but that comes from self-worth. You know what I mean?
right,
Everything that we need, everything that happened that night that could have made it different stems from self-love.
right.
That's
Absolutely.
what that night lacked, was
Right.
self-love. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So that's what we have to give our children because that's where it starts. You know,
Absolutely.
and I even tell children like you have to think first and just not do wrong because you can't control the outcome. So they didn't
Absolutely.
mean to kill Bobby, but they did.
That was the outcome of the action that they took, the decision that they made.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, and so we lost 5 lives that night, and it's horrible.
It
It's
is.
horrible, but
And they were
children have
all
to.
around the same age, right?
Yes, they were. One was still in high school. They all, and the
Wow.
other three had just. One had a full scholarship to Alabama State. He was home for the
What?
weekend in football for football. And that's why I was telling the children after school they have to make the right life choices because his career choice was the NFL, but he made one horrible wrong life choice that ruined the
Curtailed
possibility.
everything.
Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. Yes. So
So
you have to make yes,
five families were impacted
yes,
directly from what happened to Bobby that night. And so now
yes,
the aftermath of that, you are doing things to encourage that, or limit this happening again,
yes,
for those to make better life choices so that way they don't end up taking a life and their own even in the process and hurting so many people,
yes.
along the way. So
Because they
I
don't
hear,
understand that. Yes,
yeah, yeah, they don't, especially at that young age. And it's
yeah,
up to us, the village, whether it be
yeah,
teachers, educators, principals, aunties, uncles, grandparents,
Right,
family, friends.
neighbors.
We all play
Right.
a role in helping our youth and the next
Yes.
generation of parents to understand that they have to love themselves and help them to see that their gifts, their God-given gifts, and how we'll all lose out,
Yes.
when you make poor choices.
Because they
So,
have to understand, oh, I'm sorry, but that how
no,
their
go ahead.
choices not only affect them, but their family. How so many people were affected by the choices made that one night that they would never even understand how many people were horribly affected and lives were changed forever because of the decisions made that night. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's something, right, that I let them know that, look, your choices are not just your own. They're an
Hmm.
example to somebody.
Right.
You're somebody is watching what you do and that's looking up to you. You know what I mean? Is we don't live just for ourselves. We're here to
Oh,
be a
right.
servant.
That's
You
right.
you
Right.
know, we have to emulate uh, goodness,
Absolutely.
selflessness.
Right.
Uh, you know what I mean? We have
The
to do that.
characteristics of Bobby.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
characteristics of Bobby. Bobby was that person that you just described.
Yes,
Goodness,
he was.
selflessness. That's what he was, and we need more of that. We definitely need more of that. Can
Yeah.
I ask you? Have you spoken to any of the young boys? Have they learned of what they
I
did, how it impacted you and Bashi?
well, I did. I wrote all of them. I wrote all of them. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because, like I told you, I go into detention centers and I speak to juveniles, right, that have committed murder, that have committed rape, and I tell them that their crimes do not define them. That we're all God's children. So God told me, you going and talking to these boys, what about the four that killed Bobby? Because the
Mm,
ones that are in this detention center, they killed someone's child. So you can't be saying that to them, but then the ones that killed Bobby, you look at them differently because it was Bobby. It has to be across the board if
mm.
you have me involved.
You
That's
are
what God
such
was.
an inspiration to me, Monique. I'm
Yeah.
listening to you. It's so easy to forgive, when it doesn't hit you at home.
Yes.
You're tested in a different way, and that connection that you have with our Creator is so much different when you're being tested in that way. To really
Yes.
be like, am I being obedient? Am I really, following what it is?
Right.
God,
Yeah. See, I was
Monique, I
doing
have
it my way.
goosebumps. Yeah.
I couldn't, right. And that was that part of that journey I was telling you about. Even with BFAM, I was doing it, but even with my daughter and everything, but it was even with the boys. And so I wrote them all, and it was just a paragraph. And I told them, you are God's child. And I pray that you're finding peace with
Mm,
God, you know, and that was all. And I gave them a Bible verse. And I can't remember what verse it was. It was like maybe a
mhm.
couple of years ago that I wrote them.
Right.
Um, and the thing is, I don't I don't think about them.
Mm,
I don't, and even with forgiveness, I don't really share whether I forgave them or not.
right.
But what I do,
You
what
show
I
grace.
do share, and also I gave it to God because
Right.
the anger that I was feeling towards the boys, that energy could be used in such a more positive and powerful way than thinking negatively about what happened to Bobby, which I can never change. And
Mm,
also thinking negatively about four boys who are also God's children. So
hmm.
who am I to judge them? You know what I
Right.
mean? And linger on, and of course it's hard. Like, I do think about it, and sometimes it breaks me down where I'm like,
Right.
God help me. You know
Right.
what I mean? I can't even sometimes
Today is one of those days that this is rough.
yes. Yeah. Yes. Where I can't sometimes even get, you cry so hard that you get up and you stumble. You can't even stand up straight. That's how
Mm,
emotionally drained and weak you are. But God still, I'll hear Bobby's voice or Fascia
mm.
come and just say, hey, mom, like he knows what you need. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Right when
To
you need
build that
it.
strength back up.
Yes.
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 And
Yes.
that's what
And
he gives me.
yes,
Hmm.
that is, this is such a beautiful story. You just said something about writing. You said you wrote them,
Oh,
right? You said
yes.
something about
Yes.
writing. So I want you to tell the viewers. I hear a little rumor going around that Monique is writing a book.
Yes, ma'am. I am writing
So
this.
you're gonna join the authors club with me.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, you wrote. You know what? I want to read your book.
Yeah, okay, I'll send you one. I'll
Yes.
send you one for
Well,
sure.
I want to purchase it. I want to support you on every level. I
Thank
want
you
to
so
purchase it
much.
from you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
I
Thank you.
would
So
love
I'll
to.
send you where you can get it right on Amazon. But
Yes.
I wanna hear about this book that's coming.
Well, it's called Letters to Bobby. And what it is,
Mm,
aside is it's a grief book slash memoir, because it's a grief book only because it is my journey is in it a little bit, or you know what I mean. Well, it's yeah, it's like
it's
it's from
infused
my
in it.
eyes.
Right.
Yes, it's infused. That's a perfect word, because it is a memoir. Like, every chapter starts out, dear Bobby. So basically, I'm
Mm.
telling him what happened from the night. Asiya.
Yep, I can hear you, sweetie.
Oh, there we go.
Hmm.
Can you see me?
Yep, we can see you.
There
We
we
can see
go.
you and
My
we can
alarm
hear
went
you.
off. It goes off at 8:01. That's Bobby's birthday. 8:01 and
Oh,
9:15. Fashies is September 15th. Can you hear
oh.
me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Uh-oh. I can't hear you though. I'm gonna put this out and put it back in.
Okay.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Let me see. Okay. I can't hear, but if you can hear me, I'll keep telling you.
We can
Um,
hear you.
the book, so I've read grief books, and they were all on the surface. They weren't raw,
Mhm.
where the author, I don't know, I can't say anything about the author, but to me it just wasn't transparent. Like, when I read it, I was like, this is not how I'm feeling at all. I'm feeling
Mhm.
a million times worse than what this is saying. So the book is very transparent, even about me being a single parent, wanting to be married, wanting to find a man for my children, to be a father figure. I mean, that's how, even the most embarrassing that I normally wouldn't share, I have to, because you have to be transparent to heal people. They have to be able
Absolutely.
to feel your authenticity, and that you made it through in a way that they know that they can. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Um, but I'm talking to Bobby, and so it's called Letters to Bobby. Every chapter I'm saying, dear Bobby, today this is, or I remember, it's like that. So, because it was hard for me to write in a third person, but
Right.
Bobby, we used to talk every Saturday morning. He would come in my room and sit in this chair I have, and we would talk for hours. So it's like me talking to him
Having
sitting
that
in the chair.
conversation. Yeah. It's like you're having that
So
conversation
yeah,
again.
that's what it is. I'm gonna. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Cause I can't hear you,
I
Asaya.
can hear you perfect. I can hear you perfect.
Hello?
Yep, can you hear me?
I don't know why I can't hear you now.
I can hear you perfectly, Monique. When you think you can hear
Hello?
me, just yeah, can you hear me?
Let me.
So she'll probably be signed back on. It seemed like she's having some internet issues. So as soon as she comes back on, I will add her onto the stream. As you can see, her story is just so transparent, so relatable to a lot of the mothers who have lost children, um, or anyone who has lost a loved one. You can see her story is so transparent, so authentic, in its rawest form, which is something that makes our stories, our lives so relatable. And so Monique, having to be one of those that was chosen to bury a child, which is something I think every parent dreads and prays never happens in their life. Monique was one of those that had to bear um, that level of pain, and so um, you
Uh,
know,
Can you
I
hear
just
me?
yep, we can hear you.
Okay, there you go. I can hear you. I couldn't hear you, but I could see that you were talking, but I couldn't
Yeah,
hear you. So I think my alarm kind of threw it off.
that's okay. Well, we can hear. We heard everything that you were talking about as related to your book.
Oh, okay,
Um,
good.
yeah, we
Because
could
I didn't know
hear
if you could
everything
hear
that.
me.
Yeah, oh, we could hear everything that you were saying. With regard to your book. The authenticity that you're going to be, bringing, the fact that on Saturdays you used to speak, to Bobby for hours. So this is kind of like a
Yes.
continuation of those conversations that you would have with him.
And
When is
yes.
mhm. When is your book? When are you looking to possibly launch your book?
Probably by the end of the year, because
Okay.
we're doing the race now, and the race is May 1st to May 8th. It's a virtual race, so if anyone wants to join, it's for everyone because it is virtual, and
Yes.
and everyone gets a free T-shirt, a
Great.
medal, and a mask with their registration and a little goodie bag. So I like to give little
Me
goodies
too.
too.
I'm a goodie. I'm a goodies person
Yeah,
too.
right. And I'm mailing it to everyone. I just want to keep it as COVID safe as I can,
Yes.
so everyone is comfortable. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Well, absolutely.
yeah. So all the proceeds, everything goes to the Bobby Tillman Scholarship Fund, and it is awarded to the children when we give them the scholarships for their essays
This
to
is this is
the winners.
awesome.
Yes,
So
and
after this, I would love to share the link. So, Monique, if you have the link where we could register for this event,
mm-hmm.
the details of how this is done, this will be my first time registering for a
Yay!
5K virtually. So, I want to definitely support you as well as you mentioned, supporting me with the book. I want to
Thank
support you
you.
with the foundation. So please send that, and I will post it up for those on Facebook and on
Okay.
YouTube. I will post up the link so that way, if anyone wants to participate and support BFAM, that's one way that you can do it. For those that are
Thank
watching,
you.
Monique, how can, if someone wants to support, if someone wants to reach out to you and contact you for either other speaking engagements or to donate to BFAM, how can they do that? How can they get a hold of you?
They can, okay, so a lot of times when someone asks me to speak, they'll message me on Facebook. So
Hmm.
through Messenger, and and I check that daily. So
Right.
is and my Facebook is Monique Rivarde, is my first and last name. So they can message me there.
So how do you
Or
spell your last name in case anyone wants to reach out to you? How do you spell your last name?
it's RIV like Victor, ARD like David E.
Right, Monique Rivard. Yeah, so
Yes.
they can message you on Facebook. Um,
Right.
as far as supporting and wanting to donate or send money for BFAM to support your
Mhm.
scholarship fund and things like that, how can they do that?
They can go to BobbyTillmanFoundation.com. So it's www.bobbytillmanfoundation.com. And we have a donate button on there, but they can also see everything that we've done in the community. We've had winter clothing drives, back to school supply drives. We've had given food to the homeless, blankets. We've done, I try to stay in the community because it gives the children another viewpoint of life that they
Right.
may not be aware of, you
Mhm.
know, and also it shows them what they have to be grateful for.
Absolutely,
It shows
absolutely.
us all, yes, because it shows me every time as God remind me, look, you have a lot to be grateful for.
Hmm.
Because I'm gonna tell you, it's a lot of parents that's feeling just like I am by losing someone, but they don't have the same circumstance that I do. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? They,
Hmm.
but dealing with the same pain. So I have to be aware of that. You know what I mean? That is
Right,
still a blessing.
absolutely.
Yeah. I took a sociology class, and I'm gonna just tell you how wonderful God is, because I was on the pity pot, like
Mm.
God, angry. I was becoming bitter. And
Mm.
in a sociology class, yeah, he showed me, I was learning about third world countries and how women were literally watching their daughters, 5-year-old daughters, be raped right in front of them, and then still had to get up and go to work, raped and murdered, and couldn't bear nothing. He was showing me, like, it's women out there going through what you are and worse,
And
because
work
we caught all the boys that murdered Bobby. It's some parents still waiting for justice
for
for
their
their
children.
murdered children.
Mm. Oh,
Yes.
wow. Wow,
Right.
Monique, you are speaking such profoundness
Yeah.
today
And
for those that are listening,
yeah.
because you think your situation is bad and it is. Like there is that level of pain. That's that reality that there is pain that comes with what I went through and what I'm going through,
Yes.
and I have to deal with that. but then God gives you that grace and that mercy to understand that there's somebody who's actually been through what you're going through and
Mm-hmm.
worse, and that there
Yes.
was there was some compassion and mercy that was even extended in your situation, when we're looking at it from the lens of God versus our own, limited lens. Did
Oh,
we
there we
lose
go.
you?
No, I'm
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Okay. But
So
yeah.
So sometimes, we look at things from our limited lenses, versus God's lens. And we
Yes.
think that it's the all and be all, and this is the absolute worst. But He
Mm-hmm.
uses us as vessels. He really does. He uses us as vessels to be able to be of empowerment to those who may not know Him, may not
Yes.
have a relationship with Him, may not feel like they can get past something. And again, in His grace and mercy, He once again
Yes.
uses one of His creation to show that, yes, there is life after this tragedy. Yes, you
Yeah.
can turn this into something that is positive. It may
Yeah.
not change your particular circumstance as it relates to a lost loved one, but
Mm-hmm.
you can change how you now move forward and how you can help others be able to do the same. And maybe
Yes.
even
Right.
decrease the number of children that might be lost due to violence because of
Yes.
poor choices. So
Right.
absolutely, Monique. I mean, the work that you're doing is just so powerful, and it's such a
Thank
beautiful
you.
way to honor your son. I mean, we're honoring you in Women's History Month, but you are continuously on this journey and fight for, the honor of the memory of your son, Bobby Tillman. And,
Yeah.
we just want to continue to talk about him and continue to learn more about him so we can, try to emulate somebody just as 18 to be able to continue to, be a role model for so many others who may not have known him personally, myself included, to be able to be like, wow, at 18, he was able to display this level of character. We can
Yes.
all strive to be better. Monique, I want to ask you for any parents that are listening that may have lost a child,
Mm-hmm.
that is going through the different levels of grief, wherever that might be in their journey.
Mm-hmm.
What words would you have for them? What final words would you have for them?
Don't give up. Don't give up. Because it may seem like it will never change, but it will. And take your time. Don't let anyone rush you through the grieving process. Don't let anyone tell you to limit how you talk about your child, how you remember your child, how you
Mm,
handle the death of your child, because it's all your healing and your experience, your process. Take not one day at a time, 1 second at a time, because sometimes that's all the energy that you have.
you
And
can
you have,
muster up.
yeah, and you have every right to step back and allow yourself that room to take that step, or
Mhm,
allow yourself time to sit and wait another second. I may can't move this second. I need one more. But you give yourself that, no matter what anyone says. You
mm,
can't, you know what I mean? Because everybody will have advice for you that knows nothing about how you feel.
exactly.
So
Or have
go
even
with,
gone through what you're feeling to even comprehend that level
yes,
of pain and healing to offer, well, this is how you
right,
should do it. Exactly.
yes.
Yeah.
And another thing too is our children have crossed the finish line of a race we're still running. So that's why I say don't give up, because they're resting and they are feeling no pain. We're the ones in pain still because we're here.
Right.
And people think I'm crazy, but I would never even want Bobby to come back here. Bobby
I
crossed the
understand.
finish line of a race I'm still running. And it would be selfish of me to want him to come back. You know what I mean? So I gotta keep going so I can see him again. That's why I tell, don't ever give up, because sometimes it does seem like I can't do this. I
Right.
can't go through this night. I can't bear another second of, you feel like you're in a foggy bubble, that everybody is living their lives and they're smiling, and my child is gone. My
Mm,
right arm is gone. My purpose is gone. We
mm-hmm.
live for our children.
Right.
We live for our children. And when they go, what are we living for now?
Mm-hmm.
You
It
know what
just
I
seems
mean?
like life is not the same, and you're just like,
Yes.
how do I start this over?
But you will
When
have a new normal, and God will
right.
bless you. He will, and He will hold you tight, and He will give you what you need. And it hurts. It
Absolutely.
does.
Yeah.
But God will provide.
And he
And
gives
I
you
mean
what you need
emotional.
when you need it. Right.
Yes, that
Yeah.
emotional, spiritual support that you need. You
That
know
no
what I
one
mean?
can give you, that no
No.
one else can give
Mm-mm.
you. Because
That's
sometimes I know,
yes.
even when losing when it happened to you, it was like I don't even know what to say to Monique. Like sometimes we don't even have the words to offer of encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes God to be the only one that can give us that healing that we need in that moment, the strength to
Yeah.
just get through the next hour or half
Right.
hour. So absolutely,
Yes. And
I
also
agree
they're
with you
not
on
alone. Because see, the
that.
enemy wants you to feel like you alone. You're isolated, but you're not. Believe me, is we're all in a sisterhood, in a brotherhood, and we're here for each other. You
Right.
know what I mean? I want them to
Absolutely.
always know that pain you feel that's piercing, I feel it too. And we can make it through together.
Right.
You're
Right.
never alone.
That's right. That's right. Oh, just beautiful words. I have nothing to add to what you just said. I mean, you said it all for anyone
Thank
that's
you.
listening, and as I mentioned before, I know Bobby be so proud of you and seeing the work that you're
Thank
doing
you.
and your transparency. It's healing even for us because even if you're not going through it, you can be of encouragement just listening to you, Monique, and
Oh,
being of
thank you.
encouragement to someone who may have lost a child. And it can be an encouragement to children who may not be making the right choices at this moment, hearing what you're saying and saying, look, it's not just me. It's not just all about me, which at that age, it seems like it's just only about you and the impact is only going to be yours. But
Mm-hmm.
you just shared, just in your story, the families, everyone, that there's so many people that are impacted, by what happened to Bobby that night. And this is 11 years later. So your words are so encouraging for so many,
Thank
for
you.
us, and an inspiration for all of us to emulate those beautiful qualities of Bobby, of selflessness
Yeah.
and compassion, and being trusting, which is something that's not the norm today. So it's truly, it's like a little piece of heaven on earth, when you interact with it. So thank you so much, Monique,
Thank
for
you.
sharing Bobby with us, sharing, where we can find you. Here on Facebook, you can find Monique under Monique Rivarde,
Yes.
Rivarde, and you can
Yes.
inbox her for any booking engagements for speaking, as well as you
Hmm.
can contact. What was the website, so that way if they want to make a donation to support your foundation and scholarship fund, where is that
It
located?
is www.bobbytillmanfoundation.com.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you,
And
Asiya.
we honor you so much, Monique, just as a beacon of light in sometimes in a space that feels so dark,
And
for
I
so
honor
many mothers.
you
Thank
for
you.
your what you're doing with our young women. It's a blessing. And
Thank
also
you.
all of your workshops on how to maintain a business, how to develop one. I see you, girl. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
It's
so much. I mean,
wonderful.
like you said, we in this together. We're all here to
Yes.
support and help one another. So, I'm here. I will, as I mentioned before, viewers, I promise I will send the link. So if you want to participate in the 5K, that is in the month of May, which is not
Yes.
that far from now.
No,
So if
it's
you
May
want to
1st to the
participate,
8th.
that's right. So for a whole week, May 1st
Yeah.
to the 8th,
Yeah,
you
because
can
it's
participate
virtual.
and support. Yeah, so it's
Mm-hmm.
virtual. So no matter where you are, she might be in Georgia, but if you're in Jersey, like myself in Cleveland, New York, Cali, wherever, you
Yes.
can participate and support the beautiful cause in her turning tragedy into triumph. So I thank you again, Monique, for joining
Thank
us this
you.
evening. And for those of you who are watching, if you know a woman like Monique in your community that is also doing just some wonderful work and helping and empower their community, and educating their community in ways to do better and to be better, please contact me. We would love to have them on our show so that way we can share the great work that they're doing, just as we did tonight in learning more about her son, Bobby Tillman. Also, if you want to see past shows that we have and want to be notified of upcoming shows, please subscribe to our YouTube channel under Asiya Nasir Shahid, which you see my name on here, on my Facebook page. It's under that same name in on YouTube. So please subscribe so
Oh,
you can
that's
see all of our
great.
previous episodes and be notified of future ones. So thank you once again. And let us continue to empower and educate our community, the women in our community, and the girls that they are raising.
Yes.
Monique, I salute you and all the work
Oh,
that you're doing.
thank
Thank
you.
you for being a guest on our show tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me. It is an honor and a blessing. Thank you
And
so much, Asiya.
thank you so much. And for the and if you want to look back, we have some beautiful comments here of those that are making prayers for you.
Oh, thank you. I want to, yeah, I'll watch it, and I want to watch your past episodes too.
Yep, it's
I
right there on
definitely do.
YouTube. Yeah, it's
Yes,
on YouTube. We have a plethora of different women that are just doing some remarkable things, and you being one
yes.
of them.
Oh,
So thank
thank
you,
you.
everyone, for joining our show. And stay tuned for next week. We have another woman, the last woman that we'll be honoring in the month of March on a weekly basis. You don't want to miss out on that one as well. So stay tuned. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.